Alright dudes, we're back. This is part number 2. It's Junkrat. We're on the PTR. We're in try mode. There's no games, so we're just gonna dick around and see what we can find out. Um, it feels like they kind of forced some more build diversity onto the character. But Whitemane, everything that she was doing felt like it had a path and intention with the exception of the one build, like the last build. But Junkrat is, he's still kind of all over the place. So I feel like what's going to happen is there's going to be an optimal build path that someone figures out eventually, and that's just going to be it. As of right now, you can kind of build autos, you can kind of build Q, W, E, you can kind of build everything, but none of it really works super well with everything else. At least that's how I feel. So, what I've kind of come up with so far, they took Tricky Shuffles from, I think it was level 7, and moved it to level 1, and then they changed it a bit. So once your frag launcher runs out, your basic attacks are going to start dealing more damage, in addition to you getting 10% move speed, which is good, and that kind of leads into the auto build. So we're going to take that one first. The level 4 is a little bit tough, so obviously Taste for Explosions is going to feel right at home for anybody who plays Junkrat now, or in his current iteration, I guess, before the PTR goes live. And it's a pretty standard quest. You're just getting more damage for your Qs the more that you hit people with them. So that's pretty dope. And you're going to want to weave in your Qs with your autos. So this one still makes the most sense. But this Boom Pow talent used to be a level 20 talent, and it has been moved to level 4. So obviously it is a very good talent being placed at a very early stage of the game. And this is also going to synergize incredibly well with your level 13 talent, Ripper Air, which is almost mandatory when playing Junkrat. So I don't know if we're going to want to build into that. The chasing traps aren't terrible, but I think if you're taking this talent, you're going to have to build into E, and you're not going to want to do that later on if you're building autos. So Taste for Explosions is just kind of where you're stuck if you're building this. So level 7, obviously there's some huge changes to this talent tier. There's a lot more stuff you can do. I don't think Bogged Down is new, but the slow on that ability is pretty nasty. In addition to that, you've got trap talents. So if you're trying to build for your E, you certainly can. This is going to be the talent tier to do it at. Having this do 50% more damage and reduce armor for 3 seconds is pretty nuts. But then there's also this. So silencing a person for 2.5 seconds is pretty insane, on top of a route that lasts 2 seconds. So I don't know if this is on top of the route. Well, I guess let's just pick it and see what happens, right? Throw it over here. Rooted, silenced. Okay, yes, so they do get rooted and silenced at the same time. So it lasts for 0.5 seconds after they're done with the root. So let's reset that there.
Choose a talent.
This one seems like a really, really, really good talent. Because if they can't use any of their unstoppable abilities while they're rooted, that's going to be a pain in the ass for lots and lots of tanks. So, like, Garrosh can't hit his 1 anymore, Johanna can't hit her D, people can't just get out of things unless they're cleansed, which is a pretty big cooldown for a pretty insubstantial cooldown, which is nice. It's nice to have. And then Dirty Trickster is new, but what this is going to do is when you're below 50% health, if you get stunned, rooted, or even damaged by an enemy hero while you're less than 50% health, you're going to drop your trait at your feet. And it's also going to make the trait radius bigger. So it's a crap ton of just burst damage. Because obviously Junkrat's trait is just like, oh, we're going to dump a whole bunch of mines on the ground and they're going to do a lot of damage. which is neat. Super neat. But you can't do it unless you die, so this kind of kicks in and helps out with that. I think that's the way to go. Because what you're going to have to do with autos is kite people, right? And if you're being kited by someone and they proc that ability while you're running from them and run through it, suddenly you've just turned the whole thing on their head, which is really cool. Riptire I think is still going to be the go-to, but Rocket Ride got some changes at 20 that are going to make it a little bit more usable. Everybody already picks this dumb shit anyway in Quick Match, so plenty of people are going to have it, but we'll take it just for the sake of taking it. At level 13, for building auto attacks, we are going to pick up Bombs Away, and this is obviously going to help out with our build path. Is going to help out with their survivability? I don't necessarily know. So we're going to increase the range by 1, and if we're hitting our autos in between our Qs, our autos are going to be dealing more damage. So what that should look like is... ta-da! Pretty decent chunk of damage. Keep in mind this is level 23, so that might be a little bit, you know. Sorry, it might be a little bit skewed, but you get the general idea. It's going to be doing a whole bunch of burst damage, and that's his burst combo to begin with, so if you're not doing that, you should be doing that. That's the sign of at least a modest Junkrat player. Yeah, but anyway, the other two abilities here are... they require their own specific build path, I think, earlier on, so if you're taking Ripper Air, obviously you can't take this, and you can't... yeah. I mean, you could still probably take Ripper Air for the mobility. It's probably going to be the go-to talent at 13 still, but I think it kind of hinders a lot of what you can do with his auto attacks if you do that, so... Like I said, I think there's going to be an optimal build path for Junkrat. It's not going to be any of the builds that they really determined for him, and he's going to fall right back into that rut of having one build and being that one guy who does that one thing real well. So, level 16 though, it's probably still going to be endless nades. I mean, let's be honest. How is that talent ever going to be like underpicked? It's not. It's too good. It may end up coming into conflict with tricky shuffles for the extra damage, because if you hit enough of these, you just reduce the cooldown of this ability, and you don't have that move speed. 15% bonus damage, so I don't know. The amount of times that you're going to do that, though, you have to hit quite a few people with the... Yeah, I'm still sure this is it. Don't ever take this one, it sucks. This one you could probably make use of, but it's on a 30-second cooldown, whereas this is just like, hey, let me do all this damage forever. You're never going to stop me. Ta-da! But now on to the cool change at level 20. Puckish Scamp, the upgrade for Riptire, is now going to give you... or sorry, Rocket Ride is going to give you Riptire when you use your Rocket Ride. So, do it! We're gonna jump, nail those guys, pop back up in the fountain. There we are. And now you'll notice we have Riptire. It is on a 75-second cooldown. That is its own cooldown. It's going to keep that no matter how many times we swap in between them. So when we use Riptire, like so, now pop it, boom! We're back on the cooldown for Rocket Ride. Now, what will probably happen, I don't know if this is going to see a whole lot of decent use in, you know, your Storm League, your ranked games, but you're going to hold on to one of those cooldowns for quite a long time. So if you're in a team fight, oh man, let's see. So if you're doing this, let's just use the rocket ride. Gonna plop. We got the rip tire. So we don't want to use them in this order, since this one sends us back to the fountain. What you're gonna want to do, we're gonna toggle the cooldowns again. You're gonna want to wait for the team fight to happen while you have both of those cooldowns ready. Hopefully this works, and the cooldown in the background is going. We're gonna rip the rip tire. Boop. Yes. And the rocket ride is up now too. So you're essentially going to use both of those cooldowns in one fight as long as you are on rip tire instead of rocket ride, which seems fucking gross amounts of damage. Absolutely insane amounts of damage. Look at that mount. Isn't that fucking cool? Look at this skin. This is so dope. Nasty. Yeah, but that, oh my god, that seems like a crazy good combo. That's just an insane amount of burst damage, right? You just throw the rip tire, then you throw the rocket ride right on top of it, too. Nuts. Freaking nuts, man. Alright, so anyway, that's the auto build. Tricky, Taste for Explosions, Dirty Trickster, Rocket Ride. You're going to be able to pick between the talents, obviously. Bombs Away, Endless Nades, and then Puckish Scamp. So we'll reset the talents. The other way to build this, I think, I'm not super sure. You're going to want to take... You can take either one of these talents. These are going to kind of help you build into your abilities a bit more, but what this is going to do is do more damage on your last grenade, and it's also going to leave your grenades out longer for them to hit stuff, I guess, is the intention. I don't know. But your last grenade deals extra burst damage. Blow 'em up is going to make it so your basic attacks and abilities deal 25% more damage after you hit somebody with your W or your E, which is fairly common. I mean, they're on pretty low cooldowns. Relatively low. They're probably they're about mid-range. What, this is like 12? Yeah. 16. Yeah. So we'll take Blow 'em up. And then at this tier, I think we're not going to build E, we're going to build W. So what you're going to do here is take this one. As long as you hit an enemy hero with your W, you're going to reduce the cooldown by 8 seconds. That's half the time. So in doing that, you're going to be dealing 25% more damage for 6 seconds anytime you hit a hero with your W. So having it on an 8-second cooldown, obviously there's a lot more uptime for the extra damage that you're going to be doing with your other abilities and your autos, which is crazy good when you really stop and think about it. At 7, I think this is honestly going to be a pretty situational talent tier, because this seems like it'd be good in a lot of situations. Same with this. I mean, I guess these are kind of interchangeable. Nah, you probably want this if you're building E. So this or this, but Bog Down is going to slow someone hit by your W enough for you to just kind of aim at them. That's 2.5 seconds of 40% slow after being hit with your W, which is going to knock everybody out of position and annoy the shit out of the enemy team, which is the whole purpose, right? But when they're slowed for 40%, you're going to be doing a lot of damage with your Q and your autos in the meantime, so you've got plenty of opportunity to work with it after the displacement, which is just freaking cool. So we'll take probably Rocket Ride again. And then at 13, we're going to take Ripper Air. This is going to be Junkrat's main form of poof? Mobility, that's the word. If you only hit yourself, you're going to reduce the cooldown of Concussion Mine by 12 seconds, which is extremely good. But keep in mind, if you have Boom Pow 2, even if you hit an enemy and yourself, you're flying 50% farther. The enemy team, or the enemy player, is being slowed, and you also have an 8-second cooldown. So as long as you're not hitting anything at all, I mean, as long as you're not hitting nothing, you're going to be reducing the cooldown on the W, and you're basically hypermobile with this ability. Same thing, I don't think you're going to take anything but endless nades at 16. There's just really no competing with it. And I do want to see this. So, what this talent does, this is brand new. Junkrat always rides his rocket ride mount, which gives him 150% move speed, as opposed to... what's the button? Is it C? There we go. As opposed to 130% move speed on our mount. Like, that's what we're doing now. We're going to pop off the mount. Rocket. So now we're permanently on this thing, wherever we want to go. Obviously, you can see how freaking fast it is. But now, if you'll notice, our mount is 12 seconds to get back on instead of the 4 seconds that it is normally. Boing. But it doesn't really matter because we've got Ripper Air in the meantime. Which kind of makes it so, like, how is that talent really going to be good? Ooh, got him. Ooh, I missed. I'm not going to hit him, am I? Oh my god, I am! Ooh. Sploosh. Now we're back here. We've got a rocket ride. Inbound. Obviously, I'm terrible at hitting skill shots. Pop him out one more time, just do some auto attack damage. There you go. That's as best as I could muster it. Do that. Get our rocket. So 150% move speed doesn't seem like it's going to be good enough to pass up the ult upgrades or the cannonball. Which has just been the go-to Junkrat level 20 for as long as he's been a character. Like, nobody will ever pick any of the other stuff because this exists. I mean, it just, you know, whatever. I guess it's good. It's just so blah compared to everything else. Like, the other talents seem so much more unique and fun and stuff, and then there's just this. Like, increased numbers. That's so very mechanical. Anyway, there you have it. That's Junkrat in a nutshell right now. I guess if we really wanted to, there's the E-build. I don't think it's going to take this very often. But it is a thing that you can do.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
We'll say spray volley for maximum explosive damage. And then extra oomph. So let's see. What this is going to do, we're going to get 2 traps. They are going to hunt people down, and they are going to be bigger and deal more damage. So let's throw this over here. Hit our 1 key. $5,000 total damage, but it took about 3 seconds. So just see how much it does on its own. 481. Not terrible, but that's at level 23, so it may actually be terrible. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. Obviously, the trap build still exists, but is it worth it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. Anyway, that was Junkrat. I hope you enjoyed it. He got some pretty neat talent changes, and both he, White Mane, Orphea, and Sergeant Hammer are getting some ridiculously cool new skins. So check it out on the PTR if you haven't already. It's coming to live next week, so that'll be ready for everybody if you don't have the PTR. But yeah, that's about all there was to say. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it and got something out of those talent changes. And you have yourself a fantastic time.